Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is the Trotter Multicultural Center Getting to Know Michigan session. So before we get started, I think it's important for us to talk about the man that the building was named after. His name is William Monroe Trotter, and he was born in 1872 and passed in 1934, actually on his birthday. This building, again, is named after the only Black man or Black person on campus. He was born in Ohio, which we forgive him for that. But he was known as a civil rights activist who particularly advocated for Black liberation. He also founded and was the editor of the Boston-based newspaper, The Guardian, which was the first weekly paper for African Americans and was in circulation for quite some time post his passing. But that's a little bit about the building, or excuse me, the man, but we'll talk a little bit more about the building shortly. But a little bit about me. My name is Kellen Mackerel Cooper. I use she, her, and hers pronouns. I serve as the associate director for the center. This is just a little bit about my bio, but previously to working at the Multicultural Center, I worked in housing for 5 years and worked at a number of other institutions and other spaces in corporate and nonprofit. But the ways in which students might engage with me is possibly through the reservations process, although I oversee that process. You might just see me somewhere on campus or in the building. Stop by, feel free to say hi. I'll be present and ready and available to talk to you at any point in time. But that's a little bit about me. So I think it's important to ground us in history. So I want to first show you all a video about a little bit of the history of the building and the ways in which we manifest the space. In the video, I'm going to pause it, and so you'll see a little bit as we talk about some of the history. But here's some of the history.
For close to 50 years, Trotter has served as a student space. We began as Trotter House, a Black student cultural center founded in 1971 as a result of a campus-wide strike organized by the First Black Action Movement, also known as BAM, to protest against discrimination and marginalization of Black students. After Trotter was damaged by fire, it relocated to 1443 Washtenaw Avenue in 1972. And in 1981, it was renamed to Trotter Multicultural Center to match an expanded mission of enhancing multicultural awareness and understanding for all students. In 2014, the Black Student Union started hashtag BBUM, Being Black at the University of Michigan, to spark discussions about Black students' experience on campus. One of the 7 demands issued to U of M administration was to build a new Trotter Multicultural Center facility located on Central Campus. Today, the William Monroe Trotter Multicultural Center lives in a centralized location on campus at 428 South State Street and opened its doors on April 11, 2019. The Trotter Multicultural Center continues to serve as a supportive home and environment to those committed to social justice and diversity, and as a space that celebrates the tradition and history of the Trotter Multicultural Center and student activism. At Trotter, we offer signature programs, meeting and lounge spaces, and on-site student support services. We look forward to seeing you at Trotter. Please visit our website for the latest information on events and happenings at the Trotter Multicultural Center.
So my hope is that you learned a little bit more about our history through student activism and why the center exists. So let's talk a little bit about the new and refreshed mission of the center. Our mission at the William Monroe Trotter Multicultural Center is to build on our historical heritage of strengthening relationships and generating collective power that disrupts patterns of inequality, restores and celebrates cultural heritages, and cultivates racial healing within student experiences. And it is our hope that the ways in which we do our program, the ways in which students interact with the space, is us living into our mission. So let's talk a little bit about our signature programs. If I'm honest, we have a lot of them. And so I'm only going to show you a couple today, but there are in counting 12 programs. So I'm only going to show you a couple out of the 12, but some of our signature programs. So we have Flourish, and Flourish really focuses on the dimensions of wellness through a lens of personal and social identities. We use the Michigan model of wellness. In part through the university health system and Wolverine Wellness. And our events really do focus on the importance of being a holistic student and a holistic human being, with hopefully interactive experiences for students, by experts who are on and off campus. So in these pictures, you see some of our programs from last academic year. So some for academic wellness, social and emotional health and well-being, physical health, financial health, or spiritual wellness. And so, I'm going, well, depending on how my right to my left, but there's a program or right here around growing your community. The program next to it is feeding your soul. Emotional wellness is the next one, and planting your intentions. So it just shows you how a lot of different students use the space, are intentional about becoming holistic students and furthering their wellness here on campus. The next program is FAM Fridays, and actually FAM stands for Food, Art, and Music Fridays, and it's a series that celebrates culture, again, through food, art, and music, and it happens on the first Friday of each month. We explore the different kind of food on our campus and larger community base. The series is really to showcase student creativity in arts and music, and the series is really meant to amplify student voices that come from marginalized communities and build community through those programs. So if you look at the bottom, below the caption up top, this is a Fam Fridays bachata night, which is a form of dance. So you can see some students learning some steps and actively participating in that. If you look up top, there is a Fam Fridays soul food session that happened where students got to experience what people call soul food, and really got to play cards and do a couple of line dances and really enjoyed themselves. Down below, it's a paint no pour event that really just we had an artist come in who also is a student, be able to do a step by step, almost feel like paint by numbers event to kind of engage with students, and they did their own canvas, as you can see in the photo. And then on the far right side for the Fam Friday students in color, you can also see we love a canvas and a paintbrush. So this is a students in color Fam Fridays. So these are just some of the experiences that we have. We also have had an open mic night, and they change from month to month, depending on what's happening on campus and what students like to see. Next, we have the Trotter Distinguished Leadership Series, which really is designed to increase healthy discourse and learning throughout the University of Michigan community by inviting speakers who are of political or public service, who are either national or international note. We really want to make sure that we bring together minds like mine, or actually, I wouldn't say like minds. I would say different opinions and different beliefs, but a variation of different opinions to really talk about ideas that are focused on a wide range of topics, to provoke conversation and making sure that students are mattering. And so As you can see, this is a quote from a student up top on the right-hand side, TDLS, which is the shorter abbreviated version of the Trotter Distinguished Leadership Series. Event feels like a personal and intimate space, creating great environments for students, staff, and community members to learn from the speakers and the moderators. And so this is, we've had a couple of, I would say, notable speakers who have come to this or been a part of this event. I'll read just a couple from the chats. So Condoleezza Rice, our 66th U.S. Secretary of State. We had Dr. Mona Hanna-Atisa, who was a whistleblower for the Flint water crisis. We've had Senator Stephanie Chang, who at the time was a Michigan State Senate. We more recently had Dr. Charles H.F. Davis III, who is an assistant professor at the School of Education, and also a director of a really enticing and wonderful program that he just launched. And so you'll be able to see some of the pictures from some of these events. So this is a Power of the Students event that happened in the month of April, I believe. And this is just some students who got a book signing from Dr. Mona. But just some ways in which we engage with students in a way that might be hopefully cause some different kinds of conversation. So next we have the ability to do a building tour virtually. So this picture, which is also the picture of my background, is a picture of the lobby of the center. And so I'll talk a little bit about each one of the spaces in the building, but we won't have a picture of, I think, center of the lobby. So I wanted to make sure I made note of that. All right, so the Sankofa Lounge, which is a Twi language of Ghana, meaning going back to the past and bringing forward that which is useful. So Sankofa Lounge is really focused on student activism from 1968 to 2017. So you'll see student activism from, I would say, not necessarily the start, but the start of student activism in relationship to the building. So it just highlights student activism from that time. It is located on the first floor of the building. So as soon as you come in the front, on the first floor, first you come in the front door, make a right, you'll hit it, and it people describe it as Trotter's living room. It's a lot of times where students are able to be in community and space together. They'll wait in between classes. They'll come and hang out after classes. Often programs are held here. So it's a wide variety of the ways in which students are in spaces. But the Sankofa Lounge is one of them. The multi-purpose rooms, and I'm saying room, but it also is actually 3 separate rooms, 2 rooms, or 1 room. This picture is showing you it's set up as 1 room. It's located on the ground floor. It has a 200 chair capacity. As I said, it can be split into 1, 2, or 3 rooms. We often actually have trainings and reservations of events downstairs in this space. I would say this is where a lot of reservations and events and meetings happen. I also want to make a note that academic classes are held in this space on Monday through Thursday from 8 a.m. until 1 p.m. and then from Friday from 8 a.m. until 11 a.m. So I just will note that. And then it is a reservable space. So just wanted to note that if students are in the space and would like to reserve it, your student organization is more than able to do so. Next, we have the medium and the large meeting rooms. They're located on the first floor. The wallpaper actually is selected by students and representing either the vision or mission of the center, but it's literal quotes that students thought that the building is inspired by. It is a reservable, these are both reservable spaces. In one of our programs, the Meals of Meaning is also hosted in this large meeting room. So I would say that the difference is the medium room has a capacity for 8 people to meet, and the large meeting room has a capacity for 20 people to meet. The other thing about the large meeting room that people thoroughly enjoy is the floor to ceiling window that you can see State Street out of. So just 2 rooms to know, and they both are reservable. Next, we have the Student Organization Lounge. It is located on the second floor. And if you could see the wallpaper in this picture right here by the television in the back, the wallpaper is supposed to represent hashtags to make a nod to the hashtag BBUM, or Being Black at Michigan, activism that happened on campus in 2000, the start of 2013, going into 2014. Making a note of that because the hashtag BBUM activism is the spark that got this new building located on State Street to be built. So that's a nod to it. We also have 20 lockers that are excuse me, not reservable, but you can apply to for student organizations. So if there happens to be a student organization who would like to store their belongings here, we have 20 lockers and use this application process, and applications typically go out in the winter semester for student organizations. We'll do another one for this particular academic year in the latter summer for the fall and winter semester. All right. The roof garden deck is the next space that is available. It is on the second floor of the building. As you can see, it has a really beautiful view of State Street. It is reservable by student organizations. But if there is not a reservation, you are more than welcome to come out on the roof garden deck to sit, do homework. We also have access to power. So if you wanted to plug your laptop in or iPad in, et cetera, that you're able to do that on the space. But it's a really great space, especially in the summer and the early fall semesters. Next, we have the small meeting room and the quiet study cubicles. These are located, the small meeting rooms are located on the second floor, while the quiet study cubes are located on the first floor. And then we have the reflection rooms and the foot bath. We are one of, I want to say, 2 or possibly 3 buildings on campus that have a foot bath. If students need that in relationship to prayer, it is accessible to students. We also have a large and a small reflection room, also accessible to students. You'll need your M card, which is your University of Michigan ID, to access the large and the small reflection rooms, but as long as you have that, you're able to use it. And then lastly, we'll talk about student support services. So at Trotter Multicultural Center, we have a number of student support services that we offer inside of Trotter. Although these offices operate outside of the space, they obviously the library, Sweetland Writing Center, the University Health Service, and then the University Career Center are all separate offices, but we provide their services in the building in case students don't have the time or availability to be able to access this space. We have the space available inside of the center. So Sweetland Writing Center can help you with the paper, papers that you might have, sentence structure, etc. The library peer information counselor can help you for that said paper, come up with the research and find your way around trying to find the accurate information. The University Career Center is there to help you with interviewing, with dressing your best. They have a career closet that students can get clothes from to be able to do their interviews and keep them. They also can help you with resume writing for your internship or trying to get your a job on campus. And then lastly, we have the Wolverine Wellness through UHS or the University Health System, which offers wellness coaching. We offer these appointments, and students can usually schedule them online and meet in the center with a either peer or professional staff member in one of the spaces that you saw in the presentation. All right. So I'll be remiss if I didn't mention all of the September programs that we are having. As you can see, I won't read each and every one of them, but I will note that we have Trotter communities that happen every Tuesday from 12 to 2. We have Fam Fridays, which we mentioned, which is the first Friday in September. We also have a flourish happening on the 13th, the 20th, and the 27th, along with Soul Food Sundays happening and some Renew, Replenish, Restores happening as well. So just wanted to make a note of that as we move forward. We have a lot of programs. We hope to see you at one of them or all of them or some of them. So make sure you come and visit us. Here's our website, trotter.umich.edu. Easy for you to get access to and to find. You also can find us on our social media in at Trotter MC. So easy for us to find. And if you happen to want to sign up for our newsletter, there is a tiny link right there. You also, if you have any questions about any of the things that I've talked about, you can always email us at trottermc.info@umich.edu. And then where to find us. We are located, if you've ever been to the Michigan Union, we're located 3 buildings down on State Street heading south. So 3 buildings down, you'll be able to find us. It'll be the Michigan Union, the LSA building, the Kelsey Museum, and the Trotter. Okay. And then I'll get to the frequently asked questions because I know that there are times where people have them. So we have some generated ones that we always get that we want to make sure we mention. So what's the difference between MESA, or the Multi-Ethnic Student Affairs Office, and Trotter? So Trotter's vision and mission is really focusing on the broader strokes of cultural diversity and inclusion, i.e. spirituality, religion, gender, etc., while MESA does a deep dive to talk about specific topics focused in race and ethnicity. And fun fact about MESA and Trotter, when the video talked about the activism that happened on campus, our office and their office was created out of that activism. So really awesome to be able to be celebrating. We are at almost 53 years this year of being a center. So them being an office and then us being a center. What are our building hours? So in the spring and summer semester, we're open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. During the fall winter semester, we are open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until midnight. You heard me right, 8 a.m. to midnight. And then Saturday and Sunday, that should be Sunday and not summer, apologies. Saturday and Sunday, we are open at 10 a.m. until midnight. Once again, that's 10 a.m. until midnight. So who can make reservations? So our reservation process is managed in conjunction with our partners at Conference and Event Services. It's the same office that you work with to reserve through the Michigan Union and other spaces on campus. And I gave you a little link in here to be able to reserve online if you necessarily need to. But you also can find this information on our website. What do we mean reservable by student organizations only? There are some spaces on campus, in our building that means that people can reserve. And so people are often asking, like, does that mean that no one else can reserve? No, it just means that student organizations can make a reservation in a particular space. It It is just to ensure that student organizations have priority in booking on campus. Our student organizations limited to just the labeled reserved by student organizations only spaces, and that absolutely not. All spaces, most of the spaces are reservable to everyone, with the note of the spaces that we've indicated that are reserved by student organizations only. And that actually is only two spaces. It's the roof garden deck and then the large reflection room. Everything else either is not reservable or is open to reservations. Is there a cost associated to reserving rooms? There is no cost for student organizations, but there is a cost for departments, community organizations, or corporate or organizations. So just to note that, and the cost can be found on our website. How can student organizations get access to the lockers? As I said, due to it being limited space and availability of storage on campus, lockers have to be reserved by student organizations through May's pages. And that happens at the winter semester, typically, although we are opening it up for this as the latter summer semester for the fall and winter semester for this year. What is our catering policy? We have our own unique approved catering vendors list, which can be found on our website, but we also have opened our catering list up this academic year to more than our unique listing, and that also is located on our website. And that for me is it in relationship to um, our time together. Again, I want to thank you all so much for spending time with me today. You could have been anywhere else, but you chose to listen to this presentation. So take care. We hope to see you at Trotter Multicultural Center.